Welcome to the module on rigid pavement. Today we will be discussing about the defects in pavement quality concrete, or commonly known as PQC. Why concrete cracks? The main reason for concrete to crack is improper concrete mix designs and laying or jointing practices related to the inherent nature of concrete to change volumetrically due to the moisture, reactions and thermal effects. So it is very important to understand that we cannot play with the inherent properties of the concrete, and as far as possible the conditions which is required to maintain during the laying or the jointing practices one has to maintain in order to make sure that your concrete is crack free or defect free. How to minimize cracks in concrete? The incidence of cracks can be minimized by improving the concrete mix designs, the laying time, the weather conditions, and the jointing practices with timely socketing and properly managed curing. If you are not able to cut the joints in time, then automatically the stresses are being developed within the concrete, and due to these stresses the concrete is bound to crack. That is the reason why we have a jointing pattern in order to make sure that your concrete road doesn't crack randomly, rather than it will be cracking in the defined path or in the defined directions. Mechanism in PQC, if you see, the concrete pavement undergoes stress and strain due to the movement of the traffic and the climatic conditions of the area where the PQCs are being laid. However, as long as the subgrade is properly compacted, subgrade is the layer beneath the paved quality concrete or the concrete layer, where if that layer is compacted properly, then any variations or change in support due to the change in moisture conditions will have very little effect on the performance of the concrete. That is the reason why one has to take the maximum care in order to develop the subgrade of the flexible or the rigid pavements. If the subgrade is not proper, if the subgrade is not laid properly, if the subgrade is not designed properly, and if the subgrade is not able to fulfill the requirements of the CBR for which the road is being designed, then automatically the reflections of those defects will propagate on top of the road surface, either in terms of crack or in terms of settlement or in terms of other spalling or other defects which can be seen on top of the road. So how to eliminate distress in PQC? A proper weather during construction and laying and jointing practices will eliminate most of the premature distresses. Otherwise, some shrinkage crackings may appear before the road is open to traffic. That may be because of the change in the wind conditions or delay in the curing operations. So such cracks can be seen on top of the PQC roads. So how to eliminate the distress in PQC? Normally there is no reason why a concrete road should not perform well during the designed lifespan if properly laid and compacted and cared throughout the maintenance period. Therefore, if you have an area to be inspected for defects in the rigid pavement, the identification of the affected areas needs to be done through a survey. The relevant pavement surveyed and affected portions are marked with a marker. The area can be struck with a handheld hammer to further qualify and quantify the cracks. Like this is a quick test, and the field test normally one can do. If you see a dull and hollow sound is emitted from the unsound concrete, whereas metallic sound is emitted from the sound concrete. So if you hammer on the top of the concrete surface and you hear a dull and a hollow sound, that means the concrete is unsound in nature. That means there is a presence of voids inside the concrete. And when you see a metallic sound, when you hear a metallic sound emitted from the sound concrete, that means it is a good concrete without any voids, without any defects. The boundary of areas to be treated should be marked as far as possible rectangular, and normally about 50 millimeters should be taken into the sound concrete to make sure that all the unsound concrete is included in the area and the proper repair methodologies can be adopted. Cracks and its locations can be identified from the top surface of the PQC as well as from the side face of the PQCs being laid in the project sites. Then the judgment to the extent of cracking in concrete can be done by any of the following methods, which will be discussed in the subsequent slides. The first method is core drilling. The core drilling at the apparent location of cracks which are seen from the top up to the full depth of the PQCs can be done, and you can extract the core and check the depth of a crack as shown in the photograph. Generally, the cores can be taken of 100 millimeters or 150 millimeters diameter, and the hole left behind because of taking a core can be filled up with equal grade of grout or a rapid setting concrete. Second method is visual inspections, that is visual survey of the affected PQC surface. This should preferably be done after the rains or after the washing of the surface with water, because once you wash it, the cracks can be predominantly seen as shown in the photograph, because of the cracks you will have the accumulation of water and the moisture is being entrapped, and you can see a fine map of the area wherever the cracks are as shown in the photograph. Now, based on the areas, based on the visual width of the crack, you can mark it to see whether you want a core to be taken or you want some other inspections to be carried out before taking a final decision on what is to be done as far as the treatment methodology is concerned, or how it is to be treated. So this is basically the very initial stage of survey part, where you try to identify and investigate the extent of the cracking and try to measure it in terms of length as well as the thickness or the width of the cracks. Then finally measure the width of the cracks at the top of the PQC surface using the thickness gauges as shown in the photograph. Now, matching the gauge width, you can approximately say that what should be the thickness of what should be the width of the crack which is being generated on top of the PQC surfaces. Then the third method is estimate the extent of cracking using the NDT techniques. Commonly adopted NDT techniques is ultrasonic pulse velocity using a UPV meter. Now, this method is self-explanatory, as you can see in the photograph. Just close to the cracks, you can put the UPV transducers and switch on. Then the rays of propagations can be seen as shown in the photograph. The minimum depth, the minimum time when it reaches is being calculated as x3 in one direction, and then it is automatically gives you the depth of the crack based on the speed at which the UPV rays are traveling. Now, coming to the classification of the cracks, like once you identify the cracks, you need to classify the cracks also. Now, the cracks can be classified as the potholes and corner damages because of the cracks, small hair cracks which is less than 1 millimeter width, generally seen mainly in the top surface of the PQCs, settlement of panels or multiple cracks near expansion joints, full depth cracks which are basically wide cracks and can be understood that the depth may be a full depth crack, where it is again seconded by the settlements also in many cases if it is close to the joints. Then medium and partial depth or half depth cracks, and then the many checker cracks in any particular panel of PQC. Now, depending upon the classification of the cracks, one can decide what can be done as a remedial measure to repair the PQC. Now, coming to the individual classification of cracks, if you see the potholes and corner damages, the extent of potholes and the corner damages needs to be checked, and then potholes anyway needs to be filled up with the suitable material, which should be elastic and also good. Also develop a good bond between the new and the old concrete, and these areas needs to be treated in such a way that you can cut this or you can treat this in a square shape or in a given shape, so that it doesn't look so that aesthetically at least it should look nice and durable. Second is small hair cracks, which is of say width less than 1 millimeters. Now you can also measure the area, the extent of area where it is being extended, and the length of the cracks also. And if the portion of the crack is more than 1 millimeter, then that needs to be demarcated in the process of survey, and then suitable measures can be taken if required. Cracks normally develop because of the poor compaction and poor mixed designs. More predominant is poor compaction, that is compaction of subgrades or the underneath layers like GSB. But settlement of the panels or the multiple cracks near expansion joint is the category under which these can be defined. Then the next category is full depth crack. Full depth crack is self-explanatory because the moment you see a wide cracks, it is more likely that the depth of the crack is full or at least crossed the halfway length of the PQC panels. Now, this thing can be established by taking a core at the location and then see what is the actual depth of the crack. Then medium or partial or half depth cracks, if you see, these are again less wider than the full depth cracks and more than the smaller cracks. The frequency or the area possibly can be more or less depending upon the stress levels which is being developed in the PQC. Now, if you see a more checkered crack like this in any of the panels of a PQC, these are the different types of cracks where you can see significantly many number of cracks at isolated locations at a particular location, possibly because of the difficulties, because of the issues related to the mixed designs, or because of the poor compaction in that area, or possibly it could be due to the poor underneath layers compaction also. Now, so based on the classification of the cracks, how do we define the crack for repair? Like visually, if you examine all such cracks and decide which crack is to be repaired on the basis of width, depth, and its pattern. In general, hair or micro cracks do not affect much the structural integrity of the PQC. Thus, the remedial works or repair works for such cracks may not be necessary, and mostly it is neglected. But if it is wide, if it is very huge in number, then possibly from the aesthetic point of view, we can treat it in such a way that the surface finish doesn't reflect much as a defect on top of the PQC or any concrete pavement. However, partial half depth cracks should be repaired, and when you talk about the full depth cracks and many checker cracks, it must be decided on the case-to-case basis after looking at the site and analyzing the conditions depending upon its width, length, and number of cracks in a panel as to what treatment is to be given. Now, coming to the selection criteria for the repair materials, whenever you have to select a repair method for or a repair material to be treated for the PQC payment for repairing of your PQC layer, the materials or the techniques or the systems for repairs of PQC cracks should be such that the durability of minimum 10 to 15 years it should give, and or as per the design life of the pavement. That means it should have a long-term effect as far as the treatment of the material selection or the techniques or the system is concerned for the repair of the PQC cracks. Otherwise, the water will penetrate from these cracks and reach the subgrade and embankment level, causing settlement issues, and this will ultimately damage the pavement once again. So you will end up in starting the repair of those pavements again, which is being already repaired once from your end. So that is the reason why it is very important to choose significantly good material so that the life of that material is very good as far as the maintenance of the PQC pavement is concerned. Hence, it is necessary that a methodology and guidelines for the repair and rehabilitation of such cracks in PQC must be developed in the project. Normally, the repair materials should remain flexible enough to accommodate the anticipated expansion and contraction plus the water tightness, so that because of the movement of the vehicle, whatever the expansion or the contraction of the material happens, which is entrapped in between the cracks, should remain in that position till the completion of the design life of the pavement, at least. Repaired cracks should not be rigid, otherwise the cracks may appear again in the same panel or at the adjacent panels. Because if the material being filled is rigid, then because of the movement of the vehicle, so whatever stresses are being developed at the crack locations, the material which is being filled to repair the cracks will not be in a position to take that load and will again break or crack. So to summarize this module, we talked about why concrete is cracking, how to minimize the cracks in the concrete, how to eliminate the distress in PQCs, how to judge the extent of cracking in order to make sure what treatment needs to be followed, and the classification of the cracks in PQC, and how to define cracks for repairs. Then finally, the selection criteria for the repair materials, like what material one has to choose in order to repair the cracks so that the life of the pavement can be enhanced by at least 10 to 15 years without any repair or without any defects.